So here is our topology. In this topology, there are two routers, router 1 and router 2, and there are three networks here. On the fast Ethernet 0/0 of router 1, there is the network 192.168.10.0, and the IP address that we are going to assign to fast Ethernet 0/0 is going to be .254. Then comes the second network, which is 192.168.20.0. This is between router 1 and router 2. And we are going to assign .1 to router 1's fast Ethernet 1/0 and .2 to router 2's fast Ethernet 1/0. And the third network is 192.168.30.0. This is on router 2's fast Ethernet 0/0 interface. And we are going to assign .254 to this interface. So let us get started. I am going to turn on these devices. I'm going to say yes. Okay, all of these are turned on. So let me launch the terminal for them. So now we have terminal for both of them. Going back to R1. Let me configure the interfaces for it first. Configure terminal, interface fast Ethernet 0/0, no shutdown, IP address 192.168.10.254 followed by subnet mask. This is done for the interface fast Ethernet 0/0. Let me now configure the interface fast Ethernet 1/0. 1/0, no shutdown, IP address 192.168.20.1 followed by subnet mask. Okay, complete. Show IP interface brief. This is there, and show IP route. So I am seeing the directly connected networks 10.0 here network and 20.0 which are directly connected here. Let me now configure the router 2's interfaces. Configure terminal, interface fast Ethernet 0/0, no shutdown, and IP address 192.168.30.254 followed by subnet mask. Perfect. Exit. Configure the interface fast Ethernet 1/0. Okay. No shutdown. IP address 192.168.20.2 to get to 255.0. Exit and exit. Show IP interface brief. This is signed and show IP route. This also appears to be okay. Let me quickly go back to R1 and check 1/0. Okay, all is looking good. Now from R1, I have 10.0 network information and 20.0 network information. And R2, I have 20.0 information and 30.0 information. On R1, I do not have 30.0 information, and R2, I do not have 10.0 information. Okay. So let us go ahead and configure RIP on this. Router RIP is the command for doing this. Enter, and as you can see, the prompt has changed to config-router. Okay. Here I will say network, whatever network I want to advertise. I want to advertise 192.168 168.20.0. In this topology, if you see, there is only two routers. So and the router 2 does not know about 10 network. So in this topology, I only need to advertise the 10 network to it, right? But for advertising the 10 network, right, I should have RIP enabled on this interface also, on this network also. That is why I'll have to configure both the networks. So it is not just advertising, it is also via this command that the router understands to which interfaces I need to set out the RIP updates. Okay, so that's why I also need to put the statement on network 192.168.20.0. Okay, here. Done. Both the networks have been advertised. Okay. Now, if I look at router 1 routing table, show IP route, okay, I still see only the directly connected networks. Okay. Whatever I'm advertising 10.0 and 20.0 will not show in router 1's routing table. Why? Because we have the information about 10.0 and 20.0 as directly connected. Okay, that is why. Let us move on to router 2. Okay, and at this moment, if I look at show IP route, I still do not see the 10 network being received here. And the reason for that is I have not enabled RIP on router 2. Okay, so let me go ahead and enable RIP on router 2. Router RIP. Okay. And the minimum configuration that I need to do to receive the routes being advertised from router 1 is to enable a RIP on which network? 192.168.20.0 network. Okay. Let us see. Now that I've enabled it, what happens? Show IP route. Okay. Nothing yet. So IP route. Nothing yet. Okay. Here we have got the update. It shows that it has received the network 10.0/24. Okay. This is available in its routing table. And now let's decode this. What does it mean? It shows that this network 192.168.10.0/24 is reachable via the next hop 192.168.20.1. Right? We are looking at this information on router 2 and the next hop 192.168.20.1 is router 1's fast Ethernet 1/0's IP address. So this is same as what we configured during static or default route. Okay, so next hop is the IP address of the connecting router's interface's IP address. So that is what we have got. Okay, it also mentions its own interface fast Ethernet 1/0. Okay, and then finally this is the administrative distance 120 for RIP and 1 is the hop count. How many routers away is the network 192.168.10.0? It is using 1 hop, means after 1 router. That is why it is showing 1 here. Okay, so we have this information. Now going back to router 1, what information additional do we expect in our router 1? Nothing more. Why? Because from router 2 we have only added the network 20. And 20 network router 1 already has. And why does it have the 20 network on its own? Because it is directly connected. Okay. Alright. And remember, router 1 is not getting 30 network because we have not advertised 30 network yet from router 2. So now let me go ahead and do that. I'm going back to router 2, configure terminal, okay, router, rep, and network 192.168.30.0. Okay. I'm going to configure this, hit this from here, and now in this condition on router 1 we should start seeing this network, and here it is 30.0/24. network is reachable from router 1 because we are looking at router 1. Any packet that comes from for 30.0, okay, it can be reached to the next stop, which is 20.2, okay, and the route has an administrative distance of 120 with a hop counter 1. Okay, we can also verify what configuration we had made by using the show running config command. Show running config. When we look at that, let's go back to these are the interfaces IP address. Okay, let me just blow it up. So if you look at this, control blow up emitter in between. Here we have the configuration, router, rep, and these two networks have been advertised on router 1. And similarly, we can also check at router 2. Show running config. Okay. In this case, we have this configuration. Okay, so that concludes our first lab in which we saw how to configure, rep and advertise networks.